Well, as you heard here on Friday, the Winnipeg Jets announced they will be signing hometown hockey star Jonathan Toews on July 1st. That is the day when NHL free agents can sign. Since there was plenty of buzz over the weekend amongst fans, a lot of people talking about it on social media, the 37-year-old is a decorated player, winning 3 Stanley Cups with the Chicago Blackhawks, 2 Olympic gold medals, and plenty more accolades. But the center stopped playing 2 years ago as he battled long COVID. Well, now he's back. So we're asking you, what are your hopes and expectations for the Jets this offseason? What do you think of Toews signing with Winnipeg? What else would you like to see the club do before next season? Give us a call, 204-780-0893, 204-780-0893, or text us at 204-588-7355, 204-588-7355. Trevor Alexander is a writer for the Hockey Blog and joins me now on the line. Well, hello, Trevor.
Hi, how's it going, Marjorie?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, thanks. Doing great. Busy this morning, but otherwise doing well.
Well, we have to talk about, obviously, Jonathan Toews, because, when that news came in on Friday, social media was hopping. What do you think of Jonathan Toews and the Jets coming together?
This is good for the Jets in one regard, might not be so great in another regard, but we'll go through all that. I guess, if you're looking to find some positives out of this, accomplished player, knows what he's doing out there, certainly has the track record of being a winner and maybe, be able to push guys a little bit higher than maybe where they were. Certainly comes in as a leader as one of the Blackhawks Stanley Cup teams when he was playing with them. So there's a lot of good in that. Obviously, the Jets are going to probably sell a pile of merchandise with with John Toews' name on it, and that's always nice to see as well. It helps the bottom line for the local team. But again, it comes back to, is he going to be able to sort of skate out at the same level that he left the game at back in 2023? That really is sort of going to be where I guess maybe a lot of the measuring sticks will come out, because again, we're talking about a guy now that's missed 2 straight years of hockey, hasn't played anything competitive, hasn't played anything, close to NHL level, let alone, any sort of, lower level. Hasn't really been, skating on his own, doing his own thing, but hasn't really been sort of pushed to be at that NHL level. And as we know, it's only getting younger, it's only getting faster in terms of how the NHL is going. So there's going to be some question marks, obviously, maybe for the first couple of weeks, maybe for the first month, and we'll see where it goes after that. But it's big news, and certainly it's interesting to see, a big name kind of choose Winnipeg to maybe finish his career off with.
So I want to break this down a little bit, Trevor. Let's talk about the positives first. Why do you think that this is a good move for the Jets and Jonathan Toews?
It comes as, and there is some risk, and people have already said it's a low risk, low reward, but it comes with a lot of risk when you consider the bonuses that are put out. However, in saying that, if Toews can help push the Jets to a higher level, especially with Adam Lowry being out for some time to start the season, he could step in maybe in the third line role and be an effective sort of checking center at that point. There are some good things to pull out of that. Obviously, we get a high-level player, an elite player that we know of, and certainly know what he can do. How long it sort of takes him to get back into the swing of things, we'll have to find out. But he's a competitor. He didn't come back because he doesn't feel like he can't compete. He's coming back because he thinks that he can still, be a contributor. And I think that's a big thing that the Jets are looking at, is that if he says he's ready, they're going to take his word for it and maybe give him an opportunity. Again, the money itself is a little bit scary when you consider it's based on games played. But at the end of the day, though, if he can come through and push the Jets to new heights, maybe get them, over that hump in the playoffs and get them a couple of wins, a couple of playoff wins in terms of series, there's nothing wrong with that. And I know, again, we're talking about one guy, 37 years old. We shouldn't be putting this much maybe pressure on him. But at the end of the day, though, if they say it's a privilege to have that kind of pressure, and I think Jonathan Toews kind of likes that idea that he's going to come in and be a difference maker for this Winnipeg team.
We're speaking with Trevor Alexander, writer for the Hockey Blog. We're asking you, what do you think of Jonathan Toews signing with the Winnipeg Jets on July 1st? What else would you like to see Winnipeg do here in the offseason? 204-780-0893, 204-780-0893, or text us at 204-588-7355, 204-588-7355. Let's talk about the other side of this, Trevor. At 37 years old, he's making a comeback after not playing 2 years because of long COVID. How easy is it, or how difficult is it going to be for him to come back at 37 into the league?
Well, I mean, that'll be the biggest question mark of all, right? Like, how will any of that long COVID maybe affect them? How will not being on, competitive ice in terms of NHL ice for the last few years affect them? I mean, there's only been a few guys in the NHL history that have come back after a long absence. Guys like Lemieux, is a quick name that sort of jumps to the forefront here. But I don't know if Jonathan Toews is the kind of guy to say, you know what, I'm going to come in at 50% and just do what I can. I think he's going to come in and try and give 100%, obviously, as best as he can. Now, whether or not that gets him back to, 2011 Jonathan Toews, where he was scoring and being a fantastic two-way player, or if he comes in and maybe accepts a new role as just a two-way player, just a good checking center, much like we saw with Steve Yzerman with the Detroit Red Wings later in his career. I think that there's room for Jonathan Toews to make an impact here. Whether or not he is as impactful, I think, as people remember him being, will depend on what the role that he's given. That being said, though, I think that, again, Toews coming back is an opportunity to see where he is and what he does. And I'm sure that if he doesn't like where he is, I'm not certain that he's going to keep trying to, go out there and maybe push something that isn't there for him.
Mm-hmm. And also just to kind of remind people too, 37 is a little bit older, but Brad Marchand just recently won a Stanley Cup at the age of 36.
Right. Yeah.
And Corey Perry's 40 years old and he played with the Oilers. So really age is just a number, right?
If you're in shape and you're doing the right things and certainly following your day-to-day routine, there's no reason why Toews can't come in and be effective. Again, we're talking about taking 2 years off, though. It's not like Marchand or Perry jumped in after 2 years of not playing. But at the end of the day, though, like I said, I think this guy's a competitor. I think that Toews is going to, jump in as if he's going into this as his first training camp and really go, you know what? I gotta get myself back to form if I want to be a part of this Winnipeg Jets team.
Mm-hmm. We have our first caller on the line. Sarah joins us now. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Hi. What's your question or your comment?
Well, first of all, Jonathan Toews is one of my homies. I have never met him, but good to see a local boy doing well. And he acknowledges his roots sometimes. And so 2 points I want to make is one is that I would love to see the Jets and all hockey teams find a creative way to acknowledge their roots. And I don't just mean the town they were born in, but their little leagues. To include them in some fashion, maybe at halftime or a shout out or maybe even some visual creative way to do that. And the second point is I would very much like to see this be a time when we could revert back to the old logo without the military reference.
And why do you like the old logo?
I'm neutral about the old logo. I'm not a hockey fan as such. I acknowledge that it's good for them to duke it out on the field and actually get a mentality that averts war, but to allude to war through a military jet is something I can't support. So even if I were a hockey fan, I wouldn't go as long as that logo is there.
Thank you so much for your call and your comments, Sarah.
All right.
Take care. So, Sarah, they're saying that, Trevor, acknowledging the little leagues. And we did see a little bit on Instagram there, Jonathan Toews, kind of the old pictures of him growing up, in his hockey career. And, of course, if it wasn't for the leagues, of course, we wouldn't see these NHL players where they are today.
Yeah, I mean, Sarah brought up good points as well about, maybe recognize them. I know they do Timbits hockey between the periods, and that sort of gets the kids out. Everybody has a laugh, watching the kids play there. The Moose do a good job at doing minor hockey day as well in terms of, selecting a team every year and certainly, putting those jerseys on with the Moose logo on the front and having a little bit of fun that way. They go to the community rinks as well and practice with some of the teams as well. So, I mean, there's a pretty good outreach there. I don't know if the NHL, with their crackdowns on all the different jerseys and all the different rules about, having, those jerseys on the ice for the NHL. But I mean, I don't think Sarah's wrong. There could be, maybe a team of the night sort of thing, a different team, welcome to the rink every night from around Winnipeg. That would be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. We're speaking with Trevor Alexander, writer for Hockey Blog here on Radio Noon. 204-780-0893, 204-780-0893, or text us at 204-588-7355, 588-7355. We're asking you what you think of the Jets signing Jonathan Toews on July 1st. That's when free agents can sign contracts in the NHL. As well, what do you think the Jets need to do here in the offseason? We want to hear from you. Be a part of the conversation. Again, 204-780-0893 or text us at 204-588-7355. Trevor, what else do you think the Jets need to do here? Because obviously getting to the second round of the playoffs is good. Fans hungry for a lot more. I mean, after a regular season, winning the President's Trophy, what do you think the team needs to do now to take it to the next level?
Well, I mean, it's tough to sort of single guys out, and certainly you don't want to try and push a guy out of his role. But I mean, again, Nikolai Ehlers, they got to figure out what they're going to do with him. He was outstanding last year for all the limited ice time that he got. Basically, was one of the best point producers in the NHL. I'd love to see him come back. Love to see him play alongside somebody in the middle on the second line who could maybe give him a little bit more of an opportunity. Beyond that, get the guys you got to get signed, to come back. The Gabe Vilardis, that kind of stuff. Like let's start cracking down on getting the big guns signed, and then we can start worrying about filling in the sort of the role players. The other thing I would be looking at, and again, not that I'm complaining too much about how everything else is set up, but if they can upgrade that second line center role, and again, I like Nemesnikov, I like Vladimir, playing in that role for a lot of reasons. But again, if there's a way to upgrade it to, find a legitimate, playmaking, scoring center who maybe does a little bit more than what Vlad does, gives you a few more options as well. If there's an opportunity to maybe find one of those guys, maybe looking at that. Beyond that, though, I mean, how do you tinker with the best team in the NHL in terms of points, right? Like, there's not a lot of retooling you need to do if they're already the best team from last year. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, there's a couple of key pieces that got to get signed for sure if they're going to try and take another run at the President's Trophy for sure.
What do you think it was? I mean, finishing the regular season as the best team, but not being able to get over that playoff hump. I mean, what do you think it was?
So, I mean, I've had a couple conversations with a few people, and there was one person, I can't remember who it was, who made the comment that said that St. Louis Blues team came in with nothing but, like, they chose violence every game. They didn't care. They were going to win. They wanted to come out and win, obviously, and beat the Jets, but they chose violence every game, and that there is no other team that was even close to the number of hits that were thrown in that series between Winnipeg and St. Louis. And I think a lot of the bumps and bruises that they incurred, that they took in that series, really affected them down the road in terms of that Dallas series as well. Again, you're going up against a big Dallas team as well. But that St. Louis, Blues series was an absolute violent mess of a series. And I think that's going to be a little bit of something to keep in the back of Chevy's mind, in that if we can find a little bit more grit without giving up too much skill, we might find a couple tougher guys that can maybe, hand out a few of those hits as well. Beyond that, though, I mean, you got to hope that, your scorers come through, that your goalie, again, Hellebuck had a good second series. The first series a little wobbly, but the second series was okay. But you got to hope that, the guys who are paid the, quote unquote, the big bucks are going to step up and really find the back of the net for you. And legitimately, I mean, again, I think the Jets just kind of ran out of gas there with the amount of violence they took in that first series. So, I mean, to me, I'm not taking anything away from what St. Louis did. That was the way they had to play if they wanted to win. But at the end of the day, though, I mean, what other series had 500 hits in 2 weeks? There was no other series even close to that.
Wow, 500 hits in 2 weeks. That's just that's a lot of physicality, isn't it?
Right, like that's a lot of bodies flying everywhere, every night, sort of thing. So yeah.
We're speaking with Trevor Alexander, writer for the Hockey Blog. We're asking you, what do you think of Toews joining the Winnipeg Jets? What else would you like to see the team do before the next season? 204-780-0893. 204-780-0893 or text us at 204-588-7355, 204-588-7355. And Trevor, I mean, I feel like Winnipeg is in the toughest division, that Central Division. Oh. You've got teams like Dallas, St. Louis, Colorado. I mean, that is a tough division.
Yeah, it's the old Smythe division of the 80s, as they say, with the Calgary and the Edmonton way back when, where they getting out of this division might be the hardest part of the playoffs in terms of making to the Western Conference final there. And I mean, Dallas proved that as well. I mean, Dallas had no easy answers for Colorado or for Winnipeg. I mean, they had to earn it there as well. Got to Edmonton, and all of a sudden they were like, okay, we're done as well. Like, we're tired. And so, I mean, you're right. I mean, it is, one of these divisions that legitimately, if you run the gauntlet, you got 2 more series to go, and you might be okay, but who knows how many injuries and how many bruises you have after running through those first 14 games, both go 7. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to take a little bit of a pivot here. So we heard recently,
Sure.
Because the 2026 Olympics in Milan, Italy are coming up, and the 12 nations that are involved announced the first 6 players for their teams. Team Canada named Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Braden Point, and Sam Reinhart as their first 6 players. Any surprises there for you?
Not too many, although Braden Point was a bit of a surprise only because, again, Tampa Bay had a great season, but, I mean, he kind of disappeared in the playoffs there against Florida. Not to say that other teams and other players didn't either, but, I mean, you're taking sort of the top, 4 or 5 offensive guys that you got up front from Canada, and then, obviously the best defender in the league in terms of putting up points and playing a 2-way game in Cale Makar. I don't have a lot of surprises on that. I know there's going to be a lot of debate about goaltending, obviously, coming down the stretch towards Italy and getting closer to the Olympic Games. But at the end of the day, though, you look at this sort of setup, and I mean, you look at what the guys, McKinnon and Crosby did out in the World Championships as well this past May, where they're just sort of having their fun with a few teams at times. Like there's enough talent here right now to probably win the whole thing. Whether or not other teams are going to put their best on the ice, we're probably going to see a lot of good players go there. But I'd be afraid of this Canadian offense right now, just based upon who they've named as their first 6 players for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's awesome that Sidney Crosby played in the World Championships, by the way. That's just amazing. I want to talk about the other countries here, especially in particular the United States. So we have Austin Matthews, the Tkachuk brothers, Jack Eichel, Quinn Hughes, and Charlie McAvoy. What do you think there of the American picks so far?
I'm a little surprised that the Hart-nominated, Hart-winning, Vezina-winning goaltender from Winnipeg wasn't on that list instead of maybe a Charlie McAvoy. But at the end of the day, again, very good team. You know the Tkachuk brothers are going. You know that Matthews is going. Like, that's not anything to sort of look at. Quinn Hughes is going to be a lock to get in there as well. So there's not a lot of surprises, I guess, for the USA one either. Although, again, I was surprised that Hellebuck wasn't named. Although, again, I know that these teams are trying to figure out which goalies are going to go, which ones aren't. So Ottinger and Hellebuck can battle it out next season and figure out who's going to be there. But looking at the names that are on there, I mean, again, Jack Eichel has been playing for a while. Obviously, one of the best playmakers in the world, and then you got Austin Matthews, one of the best goal scorers as well. Team USA is going to have a dangerous offense as well, and I think I think that they're going to be in the hunt this year as opposed to kind of just being also ran in past Olympics.
One more quick question. We have 30 seconds left here to go, but the NHL draft is coming up this weekend. Jets pick 28th overall. What do you expect them to get here?
28, again, because you're so far down, you have no idea who's going to be there. Pick the best player available. I don't care if he's a center, he's a defender, he's a goalie. Pick the best player available only because you can always find a spot for really good talent. And that's one of the things that I think that a lot of teams are going to try and do as the draft gets on. But for Winnipeg, go out and get the best player you can for sure at that position. If there's a trade that comes up that sounds more appealing, go after that player instead at that point and see where things land.
Trevor, thank you so much for joining us and being part of this conversation. Really do appreciate it. I know we're going to talk to you again when there's more big hockey news. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. A pleasure is all mine, Marjorie. Thank you for doing that.
Take care. Trevor Alexander is a writer for the Hockey Blog.